Washington is House Majority Leader Congressman Kevin McCarthy of California. Great to see you, Congressman. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me back on, Maria.
So some people are calling this bill amnesty. Are they wrong?
Yeah, then they haven't read the bill or they haven't seen the text yet, because this is not amnesty. This is dealing with the DACA issue by keeping it the rule of law, not putting a special path for them. But what's most importantly, it is building the wall and it's protecting the border. No longer this catch and release. We stop that. And an interesting thing we do here is we tie and make sure the full funding there's for the wall, but we tie it, if the wall's being built, to how we deal with DACA going forward. So there's an incentive for everybody to work together to make sure that border is secure. And that's the thing we've learned from the last immigration bill, that they had all these promises about border security, but none of that happened. We make sure the accountability and the border security is there so we do not have this problem into the future.
I mean, you would think that everyone would be on board with that, and that is what everyone wants as a country, and yet you continue to get pushback on the left. What should we think about in terms of seeing this going into a major election in November? You're trying to put this on the table now, but are you actually getting the support from your colleagues on the left?
No, I mean, but they're voting against children's health. They voted against veterans and military construction just last week. Pelosi put the notice out. They're voting against opioids. I mean, they want to try to stop everything they can. And then over in the Senate, they're even doing it worse than we've ever seen before. If you look at the last 6 presidents, the number of times you had to have cloture, to move forward on an appointment, was only 24, whereas Schumer has done that 100 times just in these first 2 years of this presidency. So they're trying to stop any movement going forward. But if you look at the economy, you look what's happened with the VA, you look how we're going after opioids this week, we're not going to let them stop us, and we're going to continue to be successful.
Well, by the way, we just got the retail sales number out, and it shows that the consumer is spending money. I mean, we were worried that the consumer was actually saving the money that they saved on the tax cut package. But in fact, retail sales were up 0.8%. So we are seeing that strength on the consumer side as well.
You are. And Maria, you know one of my favorite facts that's out there? In the last 49 years, unemployment in America has only been below 4%, 7 months in 49 years. And 2 of those 7 months were April and May of this year. This is one of the best economies we have ever witnessed.
That is great. And in fact, the markets are reacting as well. We're expecting the market to open up about 100 points here. This is the high of the day, everybody, as we see a reaction from that retail sales number. Congressman, I want to ask you about getting back onto the field. Obviously, an emotional night tonight. A congressional baseball game is set to happen tonight, 1 year after the gunman attacked Republican lawmakers while they were practicing for the game. President Trump has been invited to the game. Are you going to be there as well, sir?
Yes, I'll be at the game. It'll be a very emotional game, especially for those who were on the field when the shooting took place, but especially for Steve and Jennifer Scalise and his kids. You know, I've known Steve years before we ever came here, but on that day, I was at the hospital waiting for Jennifer to get there with a number of other members. People do not understand how close Steve came to not making it. I mean, he had to have 20 pints of blood put in a body that only normally has 8. He had a 0 blood pressure when he went in there. That just shows what a fighter this individual is. And I still remember sitting with Jennifer and the doctor giving this really tough news, but Jennifer saying, "You don't understand my husband. You don't understand how tough he is." And for him to be able to take the field 1 year later really says a lot to his character.
Well, that is wonderful, and we wish you well and all of your colleagues tonight. We're so happy that he's doing well, obviously. Majority Leader, you wrote an op-ed this week in Breitbart that I want to talk about. It really struck me because you were very adamant about what's happening and what could actually be an impact of this so-called censorship of conservatives. So in it, you reference Google search results recently listing the ideology of the California Republican Party. In the search results, one of those ideologies was Nazism. You write in part this incident was not merely an insult. It was the latest in a trend to stigmatize and silence Americans who do not believe the latest in liberal ideology. Congressman, why did you take to this cause right now? Tell us what you'd like to see here.
Well, I want to see the bias stopped, especially going after conservatives. I mean, just look at 3 points. That showed up in Google right before the primary election in California. The party of Lincoln, the party of Reagan. That's not what it said. It said Nazism. And then if you just go for what's happening in Amazon, where Amazon Smile allows you to make a donation to a nonprofit. Well, you know, you used to be able to give money to Defending Freedom. But you know what? The Southern Poverty Law Firm said, no, that's a hate group. You know what that group just did? It just won the Supreme Court case 7-2 for that Colorado baker. It's not a hate place, but why are they trying to stop our message? And then look what happened on Instagram to Donald Trump Jr. Just within the last month, if you had Googled his name or put his name and searched it in Instagram, you know what happened? It warned you that this was a bad site to go to. It could even cause death. Now, why are these things happening to conservatives?
So you're a lawmaker. The bottom line is, are we going to see legislation? Are you going to come up with a bill to try to offset this? What are you going to do about it?
A number of us are meeting together. We have brought some of the CEOs before the committees. There needs to be transparency, but we have to remember the founding of the internet was about freedom and free speech, and they need to keep to it. Otherwise, they're going to find something much more happening to them.
In other words, regulation.
Yeah. Yes, we've got a long way to go, but there has to be transparency, and they've got to stop the bias when it comes to the speech.
Congressman, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Maria.
Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. We'll be right back.